I had 10 minutes to save my job, then I hit the brakes for a stranger in the cold, and everything I thought I needed fell apart in one night. Would you have turned around? Or would you have kept pedaling and told yourself it wasn't your problem? Maple Brook in winter will make a liar out of your lungs. The river wind comes at you sideways. The streetlights flicker like they're thinking about quitting, and the ice hides under snow like a trap. I was 17 and riding a second-hand bike whose chain sang this tired metal song. Gloves that used to be blue, now gray, with years, one last delivery strapped to the rack, one last tip between me and a lock that wouldn't turn. My boss had texted, "Don't be late again." Last warning. I told myself I'd make it if I didn't look anywhere but forward. Then the front tire slipped near the bus depot, and I saw him, an old man, under a dead streetlight, coat too thin, scarf unraveling, shoes split at the toes and dark with melt. He was staring down the road like a bus could appear. If he waited hard enough, his lips were blue, and he kept whispering a number like it might turn into a ride. Willow End. 23. People passed him the way people pass trouble on a cold night, fast and without eye contact. I did the grown-up thing first. I ignored it. 2 turns of the pedals, my phone buzzed with the clock, a flicker of 7:41 rent. Due at midnight, last warning from a man who'd never missed a meal. And then I heard my mother's voice from somewhere. You can't point to on a map if you ever see someone alone like that. You stop, baby, doesn't matter who they are. I hit the brakes, and the cold learned my name. Sir, you okay out here, I asked, trying to sound older than I felt. Bus 23. Willow End. Think I missed it, he said, voice like dry wood. I looked down the road, nothing but empty lanes and old snow. Buses are done, I said. Someone will come, he whispered. And he believed it, the way a kid believes. Summer shows up because you asked nicely. Nobody was coming, not in that wind, not in that coat. My rack wasn't meant for people, but it had carried groceries, and once, if we're being honest, my whole life packed in paper I brushed off. The seat tightened a strap, pulled my scarf loose and wrapped it around his neck with clumsy fingers. Hold on tight, I said. We'll go slow, I don't want to be trouble, he murmured too late. I told him with a smile. I didn't feel trouble's kind of my thing. We pushed into the river wind, and the town thinned behind us. Cars splashed slush and didn't slow. The chain skipped, and he hummed a tune without words. Something old and soft that tasted like Sunday kitchens. It's colder than it used to be, he said through his teeth. Yeah, I said the world's meaner too. He tried to smile, and I pedaled harder. Pattern. Interrupt a vending machine. A broken gas station sign still flickering. Like it had hope, I counted coins with numb hands and bought a hot chocolate that steamed like a promise. I pressed it into his hands, and he pressed it back. You take the first sip, he said. You need it to keep pedaling. It burned my tongue, and I laughed. He laughed too, and then he coughed in a way that made the air feel thin. You okay back there? I've had worse nights, he said. Can't imagine too many worse than this, I muttered. But I kept going. The road narrowed and leaned uphill, the moon came out, and the snow began to sound like sugar under the tires. He told me Willow End used to smell like roses in June. His wife would cut them at dusk, he said. It like the memory might warm him, if he spoke it right. I didn't ask where she went. Some absences answer their own questions. We reached a ridge, and the fog peeled back enough to show a line of houses and a white gate with ivy. That it, I panted. Oak Hill Drive, he said, voice suddenly steadier, white gate, ivy on the fence. I braked too hard, and we slid to a crooked stop. The porch light clicked on in a soft halo. The door opened, and a man in a housecoat appeared. Mr. Layton. Sir, where have you? We called the hospitals. He took the old man's arm and looked at me like I was half miracle, half ghost. I just found him. I said buses were done. He was freezing. I tore my name and number off a receipt and pressed it into the old man's palm in case you need help again. He looked at that piece of paper like it was glass. Thank you, he said, voice trembling. Get some rest, I told him, and I was out of there before anyone could say the word that knocks me off my feet. Charity. Back at the boarding house, the sign didn't creak. It was too still for a building that old. My bag sat outside with snow gathering in the straps. My key turned and hit a different world. A paper was taped to the door with black marker bleeding through. Rent late lock changed. I knocked anyway, because hope is stubborn, even when your hands are shaking. I heard a chair scrape inside and then silence. My phone lit with my manager's name. Where were you? He asked. I helped a lost old man. I said he was. You're not paid to play hero, he snapped. You're paid to deliver, please. I can make up the shift. Bring your uniform tomorrow. Click. You ever laugh because if you don't, you'll break, yeah. That happened. I slung my bag over my shoulder and pedaled toward the only light still on. At that hour, a convenience store with a neon sign that buzzed like it had. Opinions inside smelled like floor cleaner and burnt coffee. 2 men behind the counter, one older with kind eyes, name tag. Harold, one younger with a haircut that could cut air, name tag. Evan, we don't let people hang around, Evan said without looking up. Relax, Evan, she's a kid, Harold said. Then to me, you. Okay, sweetheart, I can sweep stock, whatever I said. Just need to warm up a bit. Harold nodded at the cooler aisle. Evan rolled his eyes loud enough to hear. I stacked drinks and faced chips and swept under humming fridges. That kind of work doesn't fix a life, but it gives your hands something honest to do. Around midnight, the last customer left, and the sign flipped to closed. I was thinking about curling up near the stockroom heater when Evan came out of the office with his jaw set. We're short 20 from the drawer, he announced. Like a prosecutor, guess when that happened? I blinked at him, hands raised. I didn't take your money. Cameras are blank for 30 minutes, he said. Guess when? Harold frowned. That system is new. It doesn't just go out. Evan stepped closer. You people always have an excuse, what people? I asked, and the room got small. Forget it, he said. Get out before I call the cops. Don't do that, Harold said sharply, and walked back into the office. A minute later, he returned with a tiny remote and a look that said he knew more than he was saying. He tapped the screen behind the counter, and the feed changed. A grainy angle from a hidden backup camera near the cooler. There was Evan, right around midnight, popping the till, slipping a bill into his jacket, glancing around like guilt has a schedule. Silence, then the heater, then Harold's voice like a handrail. Get your stuff, Evan. You're done. You're firing me over her. Evan hissed over some stray you pulled in from the street. No. Harold said, I'm firing you because you're a liar. Evan grabbed his coat, slammed the door. The bell did a sad little clang and the wind ate the sound. Harold turned to me. You can sleep in the back. There's an old cot by the heater. Lock the door if it makes you feel better. I thanked him with the kind of thanks you say when your ribs hurt. The hum of that heater was a lullaby. Morning came sharp and pale, and a black car I'd never seen in our town pulled into the lot too clean for salt and slush. A man in a dark coat stepped in polite voice, direct eyes. I'm looking for Aaliyah Carter. That's me. My name is Charles, he said. I work for Mr. Arthur Layton. He asked me to find you. The room tilted. Charles unfolded the half receipt with my name. He kept this in his hand all night, he said. When he woke up, he told me find her. Stick around because what happened next will blow your mind. The house on Oak Hill looked even bigger in daylight. Books and wood and a fire that smelled like it had a memory. And there he was, the man from the bus stop, now upright with a cane, eyes clear and warm. There you are, he said. Come in, child. Please, you didn't have to send a car, I said. You didn't have to save me, he answered with a smile. Seems we're both stubborn. He remembered everything. Now the scarf, the ride, the way I tied the knot with clumsy hands, he said. Thank you until I laughed and told him to stop. He asked if I had a place to stay. I shook my head, because lying seemed pointless in that room then. Stay here, he said, not charity. Gratitude. I have rooms that need life, and a life that needs company. Pride is a poor person's fork. It never picks up soup, but I said yes for a little while. He asked about school, and what I'd want if survival wasn't the only thing on the list. He told me he'd been thinking about starting something small, a fund, a place where kids like me could find a foothold instead of a warning. I'll handle the numbers, he said. You handle the heart, me yes, you. We called it the Maple Light Foundation because sometimes a small glow is all you need to find the door. We put sticky notes on a wall, calendars on a table, made lists with pencils that actually had erasers. We started with tutoring and a closet of interview clothes and a shelf of free notebooks, and before any of that could have a chance to help anyone. A photo hit a local blog, someone snapped us on the sidewalk. Me steadying Arthur while he teased me about the weight of a grocery bag, comments came soft, then loud, then mean. You can set your watch by that pattern. Isn't she sweet, turned into gold digger scammer? Tell me how a homeless girl ends up in a rich man's house, then Evan. Because of course Evan sat in his car and filmed a video in dashboard light. I worked with her. She's a liar, a thief, manipulative. It spread fast because outrage is free and facts are boring. Reporters in nice coats appeared at the gate asking questions like, "Kindness is a crime, neighbors," whispered in the grocery store. Volunteers looked at their shoes when I walked into rooms. Arthur poured tea and said, "Truth takes time." I said, "Time is expensive when you're poor." And then Harold did what good men do. He found the old footage and posted it with a caption that read, "For anyone calling her a liar." Here's what actually happened. People remembered what they'd seen with their own eyes. The tide turned a little. Donations came in small and honest. A TV crew asked for a garden interview. "What keeps you going?" the reporter asked. "Knowing what we do matters," I said. "I can forgive strangers. Hate doesn't need company. It needs silence," and I meant it. But here's the twist. You didn't see coming in the middle of the noise. The man I helped at the bus stop wasn't just Arthur from Oak Hill. He was Arthur Layton, the billionaire. No one in my world ever expected to meet the one people wrote articles about, the one they whispered had 2 lifetimes of money and 1 life worth of loneliness, the night I chose a person over a paycheck. I put a billionaire on the back of a bicycle and wrapped my thrift store scarf around his neck. And when he sent that car in the morning, he didn't send money, he sent a chance, the kind you don't get unless someone with a key opens a door. Do you think that's fair? I'll ask you straight that a decent choice should have cost me my job and my room before it paid back in a miracle. Do we really want a world where kindness is a luxury you can't afford? Unless you get lucky, if it were you, what would you have done? We kept building anyway, scrutiny or not. We held open hours and let people see for themselves. We posted receipts without sounding defensive. We learned that some folks apologize quietly and others double down. Evan tried a second round with words like exploitation and front and documents he didn't have. The comments got loud for a day and quiet the next. We kept going. We always kept going. There are nights I remember like Polaroids. The greenhouse behind Arthur's house in winter, lemon trees, sweating sunlight. His hand wrapped around a mug that steamed like January mercy. "Promise me you'll keep this going if I'm not around," he said. "Don't talk like that," I told him. "I'm old, not immortal," he answered with a grin. And we both knew the math. 2 weeks later, he went to sleep, holding the blanket I'd tucked around him at the bus stop, and never woke up. Grief doesn't shout, it knocks and waits. The funeral was small and honest. The room packed with the kind of people who never trend but always show up. After the service, Charles handed me an envelope. Inside was a photo of me and Arthur on opening day, taped to a letter written in a hand that had to work for every line. My dear Aaliyah, this foundation, this house, it's yours to guide now. Keep it honest. Keep it kind, Yil. Wealth isn't what we keep, it's what we share. I cried until the words blurred, and then I put the letter in a drawer. I open when I forget who I am. We kept the light on. 1 center became 2, and then 3. We started a scholarship for teenagers who chose right when it cost them something. We stocked a closet with jackets, and a shelf with notebooks, and a binder with bus routes and safe shelter addresses. I sat at a front desk most afternoons and learned names and stories, and the way a kid's shoulders relax when you tell them they belong. People ask me now how it started, and I tell them the truth that sounds made up: a bus stop, a stranger, and a choice. If you're waiting for the part where the internet apologizes and behaves, it doesn't. We still get messages from accounts with numbers for names. We still get reporters who want a quote that tastes like gossip. We still have board meetings where someone suggests we hire a PR firm. I smile and say, our PR is a kid who passed her math class, and a single dad who got that job because someone pressed a clean shirt into his hands. You know what I mean? And yet, I'll say the noisy part out loud. It shouldn't take a billionaire to make compassion safe. It shouldn't take a hidden camera to make the town believe. A girl who said, I didn't do it. It shouldn't take a viral video to turn a rumor into an apology. We can build a world where the default is trust with verification, not suspicion, with a spotlight. We can pass Good Samaritan protections that include jobs and housing, so a kid who stops to help doesn't pay with her bed. We can teach our boys not to weaponize doubt, and our girls that they don't owe anyone silence for the sake of comfort. So yeah, I lost a job, and a room, and some skin. That night I gained a life I didn't think belonged to people like me. I would choose it again. I would choose it twice, but I don't think kindness should require a gamble. You can't afford, tell me in the comments. If you agree, or if you think I'm soft, tell me. If you've ever turned around at your version of the bus stop, tell me if you didn't. And what you wish you'd done differently, argue with me. If you have to change my mind, if you can, just don't scroll past, pretending it's somebody else's town. Because here's the thing I want you to carry when the video ends. One act of compassion can echo louder than the loudest rumor. One scarf, one ride, one backup camera, one letter. It doesn't fix everything, and it won't make you famous. The way you think fame works, but it can put a kid at a desk, and a man at a window, and a light over a door that used to be dark, and if you're the person in the cold tonight. I see you keep breathing. The bus may be done, but somebody is coming. Maybe it's you for somebody else. If it were you, what would you have done? Would you have kept pedaling? Or would you have turned back and risked the things you thought you couldn't lose? And bigger than that, what would it take for our towns to make that a safer choice? Do you think that's fair, the way it is right now? I don't, and I'm asking you to help me change it. If this story moved you, drop your city in the comments and tell me your bus stop moment. Share this with someone who needs proof that good still happens. Hit like and subscribe if you want more long, messy, honest stories. But more than that, take the habit with you. When you go look up, look around, stop. When it's inconvenient, choose people. When the clock says hurry, keep the light on because the next stranger in the cold is closer than you think, and you already know what to do.